leave their animals in that type of condition.
Now investigators say they are trying to track down the woman who left the animals to die.
We're looking at least 31 felony charges for animal cruelty, at least 31 charges of abandonment of a domestic animal. Those are misdemeanors. And then as we add in all of the sanitation charges, we could be upwards of 100 charges.
Animal Services Director Steve Hammond says all of this could have been avoided. He says if the woman needed help and needed someone to come and pick up the animals, she could have called Animal Services and they would have done it. Reporting live in Cobb County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
It's hard to imagine.
Ever.
We really need to have these cats moved out of the shelter by Sunday.
The problem is their current cat shelter space in Cumming is scheduled to undergo a renovation Monday, and construction delays have kept their new cat shelter location from being ready on time.
Our new cat shelter was supposed to be completed in April, and a series of things have happened that now we are here in September, and we're getting close, but we're not ready yet.
Yeah. Shelton says housing them at neighboring animal shelters is not an option.
Yeah, no one has room, really. Here in the state of Georgia, all the shelters are full, always.
Shelton says ideally they want all these cats to get adopted in time. But even fostering for a couple of weeks can be a huge help.
Fur Kids will provide all of your supplies, your food, the veterinary care. We handle everything. All you need to do is just to provide a loving home.
Otherwise?
Oh, they're all going to come home with me. So please don't let that happen. Please come to furkids.org and apply to adopt so that I don't have to have the shelter at my house.
And we have a link for you on our website right now where you can fill out Fur Kids adoption or foster application. Reporting from Forsyth County, Eric Mock, Fox 5.
Person for Customs and Border Protection tells Fox News they encountered more than 10,000 migrants at the southern border on Wednesday, which is an all-time record high.
Eagle Pass is a city of 30,000 people. We cannot sustain this flow. We need help. We need it now. We're scared to even go outside. We can't walk anymore because we have random people walking the streets.
The debate over how to deal with the influx of migrants at the border has intensified on Capitol Hill in recent weeks as Congress works to avoid a shutdown of the federal government next week. The Defense Department is releasing new information.
The card shows a photo, a QR code, and lines of personal details. Immigrations and Customs says the cards are an improvement from the paper documents currently given to illegal immigrants. They say the card is secure. Conservative detractors say the cards seem to welcome immigrants to stay in the country illegally, and that efforts should go towards fixing the immigration system. They also fear that the cards could expose sensitive security information and worry about directing resources away from enforcing the border. But ICE told Fox last year that the card will save the agency money, free up resources, and make information more accessible to agents. Chaos at the border. A southern border port suspended cargo processing because the agents there were diverted to process illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, the Biden administration will grant one group of immigrants temporary protected status, enabling them to work here for now. We speak with a retired special agent for ICE on the thickening plot at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Insane.
Victor Avila, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Victor, the Biden administration will grant almost 500,000 Venezuelans in the U.S., including those who came here illegally, the ability to work here temporarily. How could this impact the growing migrant crisis in cities like New York?
It's impacting it tremendously. And let me tell you, this temporary protective status is not the way to circumvent the legal immigration process that we have in our system. This administration continues to circumvent our asylum laws and our immigration laws by incorporating these type of programs, whether it's the temporary protective status program that you mentioned, whether it's a parole system that we have, and even our own asylum criteria. This is completely against the law.
And now, a cargo processing center at an El Paso port was temporarily suspended this week as border agents were diverted to process non-citizens amid recent influxes. What's the impact of a move like this on cross-border trade down there?
It's incredible. I just returned from El Paso, Texas, and the reason why this cargo facility and the CBP officers that man it were pulled from there is because El Paso is at a full, actually beyond capacity at the detention facilities. I stood outside the biggest facility, tent facility that was built for illegal aliens, and there's over 5,000 in there right now. As a matter of fact, border agents told me that they're releasing 1,000 illegal aliens per day to the streets because they have absolutely no more room for them. And so therefore they have now pulled not just Border Patrol agents, but the CBP, what we call OFO, Office of Field Operations, from the cargo facility to
This is
help
because of your boy, Uncle Joe Biden.
To mitigate and to move the illegals into coming to this country easier and faster is not the answer. And it is now disrupting our actual real commercial and legal commercial trade that we have with Mexico.
Are Border Patrol agents at cargo processing centers trained in processing non-citizens?
They do have the ability to go on the computer systems and process. Obviously, they're not as familiar with it because they don't do that on a regular basis. The cargo responsibilities of the cargo inspectors is very different. They're looking for narcotics. They're looking for other illicit substances and goods coming into our country, commercial fraud, and other such things. And so all of a sudden now they have to focus on processing these individuals. And when I say processing, it's really not a complete vetting process. That means checking each individual thoroughly to see if in fact they're allowed to come in the country.
Now, Victor, border agents are clearly spread thin right now. But this, to put this in perspective for us, how does the current level of border agents compare to, say, in the past?
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of them we have lost, not only to them leaving the job, retirement, and having a hard time replacing those agents because of the harsh work conditions. Not just that, but they've been demoralized. They've been asked to do not their scope of their duties, but actually doing stuff that is illegal, and these agents are forced to do it or else they will lose their jobs and their pensions. And so I talked to a lot of these agents. We're losing a record number to suicides. It is really, really something that we have to really look into because these border agents are being used as a ploy. And let me tell you, 80% of the Border Patrol agents are not assigned to their official duties on the line to protect our borders. They're being used to facilitate the entry of illegal aliens into this country.
Victor Avila, thank you very much.
89 invasion.
Has around 30,000 residents. Reports say 15,000 immigrants came to the small town in the past few days, half of the town's population.
There's no room for them. There's nowhere to put them.
Victor Avila is a former supervisory special agent with ICE and Homeland Security. He's currently running for Congress. Now, you just got back from Eagle Pass. What do people there, people on the ground, what do they say? Local law enforcement, residents, what do they say about the situation?
They're fed up. I talked to a lot, and by the way, it's not even a partisan issue anymore. Democrats, Republicans, they just want something done.
He says thousands of people are sleeping under bridges across the small town. Meanwhile, one of the immigrants in Eagle Pass says his home country of Ecuador is being overrun by organized crime.
There are criminals who go to school. They threaten the kids. They force them to take drugs, all that. So we don't want our children to be like that.
In related news, Homeland Security on Wednesday night made a major announcement for almost 500,000 Venezuelans. They'll be allowed to stay in the U.S. and receive a work permit in the near future. On Thursday, a reporter asked if this will attract more Venezuelans to come, possibly worsening the situation in Eagle Pass, Texas.
The president have worked very hard to implement a strategy when it comes to the border that is humane, safe, and has orderly enforcement. That is something that we have tried to do and worked really hard to do these last 2 years.
She added that Homeland Security also allocated more agents to the border in Wednesday's announcement. Homeland Security says the Venezuela decision was made based on Venezuela's increased instability and lack of safety due to the enduring humanitarian, security, political, and environmental conditions. Many people would agree that Venezuela really is a dangerous place to be right now. So is Homeland Security doing the right thing in extending the protected status?
I talked to a lot of the Venezuelan nationals that are here. A lot of them, a majority of them, have not been in Venezuela for a long time. They left Venezuela many, many years ago and live in the surrounding countries.
Homeland Security's rule applies to all Venezuelans who came to the U.S. before July 31st. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
A leadership revamp in the military. The Senate today voting to
that exact problem across Metro Atlanta. Some neighborhoods without grocery stores are referred to as food deserts.
Researchers at Emory University just put out a study that found Atlanta's poorest and predominantly black neighborhoods consistently have less access to fresh produce than the rest of the city. Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo joins us now to talk about that problem and the potential solutions, Rob.
Hey there, guys. Good evening to you both. Well, the researchers at Emory found a lot of people in these neighborhoods without grocery stores like Publix and Kroger do a lot of their food shopping at places like gas stations and convenience stores. These are also the places you normally don't find a lot of fresh food.
We see stark disparities among produce access across our city of Atlanta.
New data from Emory University's Rollins School of Public Health paints a stark contrast when it comes to fresh food access here in Metro Atlanta.
We find lower produce options for those stores that are located in majority black and low-income neighborhoods.
Dr. Megan Winkler is a health scientist and former clinician who worked on this study. She says the neighborhoods where you're least likely to find a supermarket are where it's most difficult to find fresh produce. The areas in purple are also the areas with the majority of residents who are black. The study found only 44% of small food stores offer fresh produce, and a big factor in that is your zip code.
We're focusing really on small food stores. So we're thinking about the corner stores, convenience stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and dollar stores.
And especially for people without cars, those are often the easiest options. When it comes to national dollar store chains, the study found part of the solution could be requiring them to stock fresh fruits and veggies.
Sure, it is mom and pops, but it's also dollar stores.
Payment over the phone. They will never ask for gift cards or cash.
You know, if you get one of these calls, they pressure folks very hard, but just take a deep breath.
When some folks have questioned the scammers, they were met with intimidation tactics.
And they'd say, well, why don't I just go to the courthouse and take care of this? And they say, well, if you do that, you'll be arrested. And then they really kind of corner people.
That'd be hard pressed get me to believe that bullshit.
And if you were to disregard a jury's summary.
Outside Covington, deputies rushed to the scene around 3 o'clock in the morning to find a 23-year-old man shot. Medics rushed him to the hospital, but he did not survive. We spoke to a witness who lives in that area.
Like boom, 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 it was just that loud like that. I heard one gunshot. And then when I went back to the bed, I heard like 5. It can happen anywhere. So these days, anything is possible.
Detectives were on the scene for roughly 5 hours overnight working to figure out what happened. So far, there have been no arrests.
2 18-year-olds in Hall County have been charged in the shooting death of a South Carolina man. Those men are Victor Alejandro Flores and Anthony Revelar of Gainesville. They're charged in the death of 18-year-old Junior Gabriel Linares. He was killed Tuesday afternoon. The 2 suspects have since been booked into the Hall County Jail.
Investigators have identified the 2 people involved in a murder-suicide inside a Walmart in Hiram.
Police say James Norton killed Zoe Messenger and then took his own life. It happened at the Walmart on Jimmy Lee Smith Road. Officers say the victims had been in a relationship that ended. Hiram Police Chief Mike Turner told Fox 5, something like this is rare for that community. A Floyd County man has been exonerated for a January 2000 killing. A judge signed off on an order that drops all charges against Joey Watkins. Watkins spent more than 22 years in prison for the killing of Isaac Dawkins. Dawkins was found with a gunshot wound between Rome and Cedartown. Last year, a judge overturned his guilty verdict due to a juror and prosecutorial misconduct. The Georgia Innocence Project worked to overturn Watkins' conviction.
Take a look at this crash between a Gwinnett County Fire ambulance and another vehicle this afternoon. Sky Fox 5 flew over the scene as traffic on Jimmy Carter Boulevard at Quails Lake Village Lane near Norcross came to a standstill. Officers say the ambulance was responding to a medical call with lights and sirens on when the crash happened. The driver of the vehicle was injured and taken to the hospital by another ambulance. No word from the Gwinnett County Fire Department. No one from the Gwinnett County Fire Department was hurt.
All right, let's get a check.
handprints and smears over dozens of vehicles.
First car that he entered, ironically, he found a fire extinguisher and sprayed it all in the van. At some point, cut his hand. From a certain point, there was blood on every single car, but it was only on the door handles and the gas flap area, the gas door area.
Police say the man was fixated on gas caps of the many cars he broke into. They believe his intention was to set fire to a car.
I believe that he is not trying to steal stuff. I think his end game was just to set a car on fire, because once he did so successfully, it appears he left the area.
They say he eventually did destroy a Jeep Grand Cherokee parked at a Noonan residence. No one was injured in the fire. Police are unsure of the man's motive. He was captured on the city's surveillance cameras walking the streets near the businesses that he allegedly targeted. He's described as a Hispanic male between 17 and 21 years old. He was wearing a hoodie with the name of a local Noonan business printed on it. Police are not yet releasing the name of that business. If you could help police identify this guy, call the Noonan Police Department. In Noonan, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
Says out of 63 jury trials, her team has an 80% conviction rate, including murder trials. There's an 87.5% conviction rate with the Drug and Gang Task Force. She says she wants to be more than just inside the courtroom and has programs to engage the community.
The RED program, Rehabilitation That Enables Dreams, that is a program for 17 to 28-year-olds who are having their first brush with the law. And what we're trying to do is pull them back from that trajectory.
DA Gatson says another focus is keeping vapes and drugs out of local schools.
Migos star Quavo's now.
But meanwhile, back at home, we have to live with the consequences of her inaction.
The Color of Change organization says Willis has 11 to 12,000 unindicted cases at the jail right now. However, in a statement, the DA's office claims that it's eliminated the backlog from the prior administration from 17,000 cases when she took office to 0.
Bullshit.
Still ahead on News Edge at 11, it's a call you've probably gotten dozens of times. Scammers saying you've missed jury duty. News Edge reporter Brittany Edney will join us live after the break to explain the recent